So the courting of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not just talking about here in Pittsburgh. I'm talking about all over the NFL world. The courting of Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a very public thing. And not because anybody's dragging it out of him, but because, well, Aaron Rodgers wants it to be public. More from his appearance on this week's appearance on the Pat McAfee Show when he was asked again about how everybody, starting with the Steelers this week and really the previous week against San Francisco, everybody's always going to be asking him about the team that he's going up against and his feelings on that team.
Look, I'm just speaking the truth. Ask me a question about Mike Tomlin. I'm going to tell him how I feel about Mike Tomlin. If you want to take that and run with it and say I'm, angling for some sort of next team or something, I'm not. I'm just answering a question about my respect for Mike and what he's accomplished in the league. And same for, I talked about Ben. A lot of respect for everything he's accomplished over the years. And, there might be other, stories similar to this, but there was, I guess, the last 2 weeks, Niners, there was conversation, obviously an icy handshake kind of between Kyle and Matt. And they obviously had a conversation around draft day, and there was rumors about that. And then I say something nice about Mike. I think Cincinnati's pretty safe because, they got a good young quarterback, and I don't think they're really interested in that, in the old bull. They got the young calf right now.
So every opponent Aaron Rodgers faces this year, and this is the point Pat made leading into that answer from Aaron, and thanks again to the Pat McAfee Show for all the Aaron Rodgers audio the last couple of days. Every single week, the opponent that Aaron Rodgers is facing, it feels like, is going to come up as a question mark is, so what do you think about this team, Aaron? And everything he says about them positively is going to lead people in that city down the path of, maybe he wants to come here.
Credit to Pat for stringing it along because Pat gets a lot of eyes on his show when he strings it along. And he's also an entertainer. This isn't necessarily Roy Firestone sitting there interviewing someone.
It's not Frank DeFord.
Right, and that's not what Pat does. He's an entertainer. Not. But this all could be either it could grow or it could, and he wants it to grow, or an end could be put to it if this was a different sort of interviewer. And the question simply is, do you have interest in playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the future? Mm-hmm. Now, it could get into some tampering, but that being said, that's a question you ask if you are Dan Patrick, maybe, or someone that I give
maybe
Pat
Jim Rome.
Right.
Yeah.
I give Pat a lot of credit for stringing it along and squeezing all of it out of it. But I do think, again, you make a good point. This is going to happen every single time, every single week when they ask a question that is centric to the city that they're playing or the team that they're playing that week. But all of this could be put to bed if Pat or someone would have said, hey, listen, so do you want to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers or not? Like, that question for me was never asked and is a pretty straight ahead, forward journalistic question. But he's not a journalist, he's an entertainer.
Right, and what Pat does, and to his credit, he's very good at it, is he has conversations with guys. And he's got Aaron Rodgers on his show every week having what is a fascinating conversation every single week. But you're right, for the next 2 weeks, I don't think it'll be as much of a question. They play Cincinnati this weekend, obviously, and then Chicago the weekend after that. And Aaron Rodgers will say the same thing about a young quarterback, and they got their guy in place, the young calf, and not the old bull. But then week 7... well, Green Bay hosts Washington.
Right.
You think that question's not going to pop back up again?
And
it'll pop back up again, 4 weeks later in regards to Minnesota, maybe.
And he'll say, well, you know what? Ron Rivera's been through a lot the past 16, 18 months or so. Man, I admire that guy. What a great guy. Man, he's tough. He's the kind of guy you'd like to kind of get behind, and he's the kind of guy you rally for, and all the stuff in his personal life.
Right.
And Washington, man, they're just looking to turn a new leaf, all the ownership stuff that happens. And then here you have 105.7 The Game or whatever, or people, down in the D.C. and the Beltway area. They're like, wait a minute.
Aaron Rodgers loves Ron Rivera.
And Pat is sitting there with his arms crossed and smiling going, let's bang this drum
people.
In another geographic area.
Eat it up.
And it's the same. And credit to McAfee.
Well, and Aaron Rodgers, despite what he says here,
next team or something. I'm some sort of next team or something. I'm not. I'm just answering a question about my respect for Mike. And
no, you're not just doing that. You know exactly what you're doing when you give an honest answer. And again, credit to Aaron Rodgers. We ask guys to be honest with us. He's being honest, and it's very easy to be honest when you're with somebody who's having a good conversation with you, like Pat does with him. but he could also downplay it a little bit.
Well, no, he could also say this. I'm playing for the Green Bay Packers this year, and that's my focus is trying to win a championship with the Green Bay Packers.
He's not putting it to bed.
Correct. So they're both playing the squeeze-it-out game to get eyes on me. I love it. I don't hate it. Don't take it like that. I love it. I'm in the entertainment business, too. Anytime you can get more people to look at you, that's a big W. These guys are playing it perfectly, but we're never going to get news value out of it.
Well, and in Rodgers' case,
we're going to get made-up news value. We're going to get projection.
I don't know if it's necessarily made-up news that Aaron Rodgers is not putting it – like that in and of itself, that Aaron Rodgers is not putting everything to bed by saying, listen, guys, I'm in Green Bay for the rest of the year. We'll talk about next year when we get past this year, right? That very simple statement that could put all of the conjecture to rest. The fact that he's not saying it, that in and of itself is news because – it's proof positive of Rodgers trying to build an off-season market for his services now while he's still working for the Packers. He's trying to do everything. Even if he, like us, believes there's like a 0.002% chance that he would end up in Pittsburgh somehow, he's sure as hell not going to take that opportunity off the table.
At some point, he's going to tamper himself.
Can you do that?
You can.
Can you tamper yourself?
At some point, he is, if he hasn't already. And the league won't step in because it's Aaron Rodgers, nor should they, I don't think.
And isn't there sort of a handshake deal between he and the Packers, you would think, with the signing of the new contract that, listen, yeah, we'll let you move on after this.
Here's the other thing, though, and this is what I was thinking about last night when I was kind of pouring through this a little bit in my head. If he couldn't go to the Super Bowl last year with probably a better team and definitely a better offensive line in front of him, what do people think he's going to walk into Pittsburgh and do next year?
Yeah, I mean, the hope and the belief, I think, and I'm trying to look at it from the rosiest of pictures, is that he would come in here, all the weapons are in place on offense, the line has gotten better because it's had a year of seasoning and maybe another draft pick or free agent or two added to the mix, right? And the defense is just as good as everybody believes it can be. And then you have, right now, in a lot of people's opinions, really, including my own, the biggest piece missing is competent quarterbacking. And Aaron Rodgers is more than competent at quarterbacking.
Right.
So that would instantly take you from being, a 5-6 win team right now, to a team on the fringe of the playoffs if you added nothing else to it.
Well, luckily in our field, and not necessarily our show as much, although, hey, we're guilty of it sometimes, but other shows in other places, and even this place, I think, turning projection into, number one, conversation, and two, bordering on gospel, it gets people to listen, it gets people to pay attention. Like, there are people in this town who are dead set thinking that they'll be disappointed now if Aaron Rodgers isn't a Steeler next year.
It's why when I see the Aaron Rodgers gossip or news put out as news out there, the quotes or the videos or whatever it is, my new favorite thing is when I see something like that and you want me to give some hard opinion on whether you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Pittsburgh or not next year, I'll give you that little thinking emoji. Like, you know what? This is interesting. This is something to chew on. This is something to talk about. I'm sure as hell not going to tell you that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to be here next year, or even that Aaron Rodgers wants to be in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you, that was like a glowing recommendation of a guy he might want to play for, but that doesn't mean anything's lock, stock, guaranteed.
Right, and then, in a couple weeks when they play against Washington, and he says all these nice things about Ron Rivera and how he admires him and his strength and everything else, then you're going to have another fan base that says, whoa, but
maybe he'll come here.
And he studied the Hogs, and he knows about the history of the offensive line.
Did he mention Riggo?
And all he's got to beat on is some guy from the Citadel or wherever the hell he's from, right? You know, Heineke. This isn't going to be hard for him.
Heineke's crazy, by the way.
Nuts.
Some of the stuff that he does he's not the same kind of quarterback because he's not built the same way. It reminds you of young Ben, where like guys are draped on him and
it's Fran Tarkenton type stuff.
Chucking the ball sideways 50 yards out there.